ozomanyi nti okuva China kutuuka Mombasa is $1,200. Okuva Mombasa kutuuka Kampala is $3,500. Inside that, there is also something called fuel. And then we spend on fuel. Now kutuuka wano, somehow we spent on fuel.
We have.
So point enene nze gye nkola ku kino nga sinadda ku bugaga bwa Eastern Uganda is lwaki tetuleeta ka refinery katono ne tuwanga taking care of our costs eza fuel zokka, because oba okaaba sente naye nga waliwo ziri ku baraza nazo toyagala kuzirawo. Now these are minerals. By the way, I will be pronouncing myself very serious on minerals. Because we are wasting a lot of energy trying to do a kaido. Yes, they can be done. Naye bw'oba waliwo ebirala kati bw'oba sebo olina obugaga bw'engeri nyingi lwaki ogendamu ebigumugumu nga waliwo ebyamu. So this is in Bugisu, I mean in Bugiri, Iganga and Mayuge. The nearest to you is Karamoja. Naye weebuli. Of course waliwo ne gold nebula. Now the point I want to make, obadde obuuza omufuzi lwaki gwe. Now this is now the difference between leaders and others. If it was me, Henry Tumukunde, I would spend more time exploiting these minerals than encouraging people. They can grow, you know what I mean. Yes, but I should also tell them that they have got in their vicinity and general geography, there is this kind of riches. Why don't we tap this? We are crying over debts. We are crying over, byonna bye tugenze nga tukaabakaabiramu, all in no meaning tetulina bimala. Of course we also spend beyond our means. Ekyo nja kukigendamu olulala, but let me first concentrate on these riches. Why don't we exploit them? Give it a priority. President Museveni insisted on discovering oil. Trained people, equipped them, made sure oil was discovered. Of course now the issue is also about the price of oil. If you take a heated pipeline from here to Tanga, of course there's also another technology which refines fuel to an extent that you don't have to heat the pipeline. Maybe in Uganda, I think people could be more interested in tufunyemuki more than what is most convenient, especially financially and for a poor country like ourselves. But you see also bwavu no bwetukaaba ndowooza lwakuba tetwagala kumanya nti tuli bagaga. Now I'm giving you in your locality Baba TV wetuuka
mu Busoga
kale
je manidde
awo we wakiyita kyaba we butikiddewo wow. But you can see what is there.
Ebyobugaga.
Now mu stories ezempulira mu information ya Mwami Kasaija ng'asoma budget, siwulirangako ng'agamba ku budget eno twagala kujja kwesente to work with those experts abasobozi tusobole ku exploiting it, because this is nearer to your pocket than the oil you are going to export to Tanga.
When I was still in primary, nga ndi Chimanya Blessed Sacrament School, twasomanga ndoza yali SST.
Songa ina manya malungi.
Blessed Sacrament School Chimanya. Yes. That was my primary.
Yeah.
Nenga bagamba babuzanga ekibuuzo mu PLE mkijjukira. What is Uganda's industrial city? Twakula tumanyi jinja. Kwegamba bigenze bikyuka bukyusi
abangereza bwe bakipanga.
Nenga industries zaliyo naitiri yali jinja ngazikola.
Niye kati wakyali
government ya mwe yajja jeno. Erina engeri gye ya overturningamu ebintu. Abaali balina factory bambi ne badda ku kulima ki nga option eriwo kubanga otunulira byogera kati
ebingi byayonoona obufuzi bubi naye nalwo kyekyantuganya kubituusa ne tubizawo ebyali
kubanga nze ndaba kukyoyogedde ekyo singa we mwajjira mu bukulembeze mu 86 ejjinja waliyo factories 8 twandigenze okutuuka olwaleero nga ejjinja waliyo factories soba mu 10 as of now.
Yes.
Kakati
nga ziboostinga economy ya area, nga ziweereza abantu emirimu, nga ziweereza abantu confidence nga abakoramu baspendinga baweereza purchasing power. You know what I mean. Sigamba nti zikyalayo obukyazi
naye ati poliisi yammwe mwejjako okuba nti nno Uganda esobola okubeera ne factory zayo kuba singa mbuuza ekibuuzo kino kakibuuza emyaka nga 5 giyise ogenda kunyamba okiddemu emyaka nga 5 giyise oba 10 egiyise ng'okyali serving in the government. Abantu b'ejjinja babakola ki
for a short time. Naye kati sewo omanyi embeera ya opposition is embeera of blame. But let me ask you a few questions. You have had a vice president of Uganda twice.
Yeah, Naigan.
William
Wandera Kaziwe.
Nadjope.
William Nadjope.
Now, you've had a strong female doctor, Dr. Speciosa Wandera Kaziwe. The third in command in the Republic of Uganda, called Rebecca Aritwara Kadaga. Ndozava maige. No, ndozava buyikwe.
Abakamuli.
Oh, wendoza ntokimanyi. Katugende ku kirala. You have the Secretary General of the all-powerful ruling party, who we are challenging now, called my friend. That's the one I attach that title to.
My
friend Justin
Kasule.
Mumba. Kasule. Avawa. Ndoza ava mukono.
Kava mukono.
I mean, Minister Mugereko, even bangamye mu lugambo nti nanyi TV eno yo muntu gwemanyi naye saagala kumwogerako kati. But you've not lacked influence. No. The main question is what? Yes, nebyo nga bigenderamu. Naye kyentegeeza, what have you used the influence for?
As the people who are coming from there.
When I marry a Musoga, Musoga should have an entry line into my home. When you get these appointments, if you have a big case to answer, and it is a big case, even for order, you know there is also that, for order and organization. Why should you have a factory on Tiana Road and Teve Road, I don't know what, you know, some factory. Abazungu, they were selective in their planning. Having had all these people, so influential, what have they done? In fact, in the Ebia factory, Akangenzi is this one. Rare, yes. Why don't, yes. In fact, ojja kwewuunya nti omukubo mutakalye oyinza kusanga zino rare minerals zitudewe. Simanyi oba amanyi, waliwo okumanya n'okutaagala kumanya. But what I'm saying, the Wendoza, these are some important things. I think you can now go back to your questions.
My question
now, some of these I can tell you are very, very important. For example, scandium is used for aerospace components. Eutherium is used for lasers, television, high temperature superconductor. Very, very. That's why they call them rare. But Uganda, you have got an estimate of 300 million tons. And even the research says it could be more. The research says it could be more. So my main question, lwaki muleka mutawane n'ebinene kiringa okuba nga oyagala kujja ku TV n'osooka kweyazika esaati ku mukwano gwo ali kabaragala ate nga waliwo eri mu wardrobe yo lwaki toteekamu eyo olyoka ogenda olumbe.
Could that be the reason why abantu abali waggulu eri tebaagala kutaayo kubanga buli wabanga agenda kuta n'alengera ng'ebusoga waliyo untapped minerals tanabazitandikako abagenda bwati n'alengera nga ate waliwo golodi nanga sina genda
n'alaba ne oil.
Could that be the temptation?
N'alaba ne oil. Yes, but you see, singo olemerako nga pulaani ye yakola abantu mu mwaka gumu ogujja lino bijeeyo twandigange nti wakiri but in this case nakyo si kyekyo. That's not what I'm saying. Twandisirikiriddeyo ne tugamba munange omusajja kasita alina byakola tugira nga tugendagenderawo. But the point I want you to repeat your question without hesitation. I'm sure we must be losing time. Where do you want to spend your resources? Is it dealing with the most difficult ways of creating wealth? Or do you want to deal with what is readily available? Ebikuviirayo mangu, and you turn around this economy and you create wealth for this country. You create confidence. Do you know we have 2 million Ugandans who live outside here? If they had confidence, they would come back. So
the question is, how do they come?
Nanyeza akalimu address yamwe akatali wala, that then you may know that we don't lack options. Yes, 17 rare minerals in the world, and it's a highlighted subject.
Kangenda ku kibuzo kyange nadde mbuuza nti bw'otunuulira Uganda olwaleero kizibu ki ekyetaaga okukolebwako amangu ddala?
Number one, we must take care of our young people. The average Ugandan age is 15 years. I don't know if you know.
I know.
And you know, we are a lucky country. Tetweralikirira kimala. You can imagine 15 years is the average age of the Republic of Uganda. 78%, including 1.2 million border riders, are under the age of
35.
And 9.8 million voters, million people, who should have been 10.8, because million mutiwaji are young people. Chovora, when you see Chaguranyi creating a bit of dust, it has nothing to do with whether he's a more sophisticated leader than most that are competing for the seat. It's just because he appeals to the most, young people who are here. In fact, I want to advise the Ugandans why they should vote those who understand their problems, not those who share with them localities or who share with them age structure.
You want to mean that?
Because I understand.
You understand my problem as a youth, as a young person,
absolutely,
than a person who shares with me.
Yeah, but you see, that is Chiringo Gamba. Because you share relationship with women, you know them better than they know themselves. But I can also tell you, the truth is that we may be under. So me, I would attend to the youth. Let me not waste your time. I may attend to making sure they have survival. One of the ways, for example, is training them and equipping them to have capacity to create jobs. You see, there is also formulas of tugenda munyo employment, and in fact I will be promising jobs. But you see, the jobs I want to create, to promise, njakubanga promising people who create their own jobs. For example, if I had $100 million, which is in wealth creation, I would not supply, excuse me, sorry, I would not supply coffee plantlets. No, I would go to India and buy simple factories which manufacture things me and you take for granted. A tie, which you need on a day-to-day basis. A pen, which you need on a button, which you can get from Ankori Longonda cows. Many of even the other ordinary cow and even the goat, there you can work on them. I would rather bring these factories, and instead of everyone running around looking for jobs, these factories, because 100 million is a lot of money.
But Africa now is developing with multitudes of factories. Ndabanga tunayo factory ya tiles. Ndaba waliwo ebintu kati bebatandise that side of
I don't know if that is part of the wealth creation program. Maybe
when you talk about factories,
maybe because it is associated with, yes, but you see the factories also, it is like the oil and gas case I was telling you. The greater factor is not necessarily huge, heavy duty factories, not really. You do simpler things which provide employment to people, and these people in very many ways find themselves occupied. Nga boda we occupying abantu. And do you know what all this would be? They would also, because I have my young friends in Turkey, they are my supporters. Do you know what is most interesting? 12,000 of them, me, I do my research targeted to our own needs. 12,000 of them work in factories. You can check. You send it. Ngabana Uganda. What if we recouped these? For the experience they have. Because some are handlers of machines, others are. Why don't we recoup this? Now, I would attend to the young people. Let me go to the second point. You have issues of indebtedness. Ate mu COVID eno.
Tweyongedde okufuna amabanja.
Yes. Naye nga n'enfuna ekendedde nnyo. Because we had $1.7 billion nga ziva mu tourism. 1.3 billion. Uganda survives on a lot of interesting things. 1.3 billion from Ugandans in diaspora. Those are our TV ekirunga baka contract bazisarako. Even now bari basasura obusobozi bwakendera olwa COVID because of the panic of COVID. People don't spend as luxurious as they were doing. So I have one point to make. Now that we are not making that volume of money, that's now actually 3 billion. If it is not with us, and we've borrowed another 2 billion, must we continue paying 200 presidential advisors?
Hey, where are you going to put them?
Well, but you see, yes, but you see, have you seen BBC, British Airways, reducing 25,000 workers? It is because the economy and the economics and the financials of the great British Airways. Thank you very much. You see, you can't have the privilege of not earning, and you have the privilege of borrowing so much, and you still retain the privilege of spending so much. How lucky would you be?
Generally, constituencies they are proposed 15 new MPs, proposed 4, is it 5 elder MPs? Bongera kujja. What is the problem?
Manyi waliwo olumbe nga balala batwalayo emmere nze naawe amatooke ge tumanyi kati ono yali sazaala we n'atwalayo embidde. So abaganda ne bagamba lwongerera bizibu nga yatwala embidde ku lumbe lwa Sezaala. So really, it all depends on how you want to look at this.
Where do you get all this in Uganda?
I mean, it's here. We get it from people we speak to.
You're teaching me proverbs.
Yes,
here.
But now what I'm saying, Mukama wange, what are you descending to? You are descending to have a crippled economy. And once you get a crippled economy, you get issues. Because in Zimbabwe, we don't know where COVID is taking us. By the way, if you want me to answer the other question on your, other answer on your, we need to fully examine the impact of COVID on our economy. We need to examine the possibility of resurgence of COVID. We need to examine the pressure it is putting on our medical institutions. We need to examine the end result of people. For example, the border employed 1.82 million people. Now that they may not be that fully employed, it is affecting 6 million beneficiaries who are living on them. It is also affecting the time me and you would take from here
another place.
Those I remember when President Museveni had to load a border to be able to be on time.
To go to the
to register.
Hey.
Yes, to be nominated. But essentially, what am I saying? COVID is a factor. If you ask me what I want to look at what are Uganda's problem, the other problem is about overdependence on raw materials and being net exporters of raw materials. I've told you something about transport costs. I've told you producing, I can tell you now, producing the products. I mentioned it actually about Vikaidu. And then also the priorities of where we place our, I would, for example, spend time mining these rare minerals than actually trying to, yes, that's what I would spend time on. This is actually for me a more dependable source of income and volumes of money. So what am I saying? If you are a president and you've come in, it's never about, for example, how you prioritize your options when it comes to running an economy. There is also another factor. Whenever we talk about natural resources, about economies, or talking about natural resources. But I can tell you there are many countries like Mauritius, they don't necessarily have, natural resources.
They don't have minerals.
Not really.
Yeah.
Because when I talk about the minerals, you may get an impression that countries which don't have minerals don't survive. Yes, but you see, that's how Singapore grew. Singapore grew for two reasons. They understood the importance of capital, and they understood the human capital. Yes, human capital, emphasis. They also understood that they are not necessarily that privileged in terms of natural resources. So they created other circumstances, like financial services, like, and people like, how beaten and devastated Japan and Germany were. When they came out of all this, they realized they had to specialize in doing things which other people don't do. Chovolaba in Germany, which is also close to Switzerland, because some of the Swiss are German, they don't have many graduates. A Swiss boy wakes up and says, me, I want to repair watches. Me, I want to manufacture watches. I'm an assembler of watches. You see, for us, PhD nibo uri kumbaga bakwanjura. Owekitiibwa Dr. Henry Tumukunde. In fact, naffe bw'oba oyimirako wa president obagamba ati nyina masters on oil and gas. Abantu balyoke balabe nti kyamaanyi nnyo. But that's not the important issue. The important issue is, what do you turn around as an individual to build the cumulative economy of your own country?
Wayogeddeko ku abavubuka nga ekimu ku bizibu by'olina okusooka okukwasaganya, because
si lwakwagala kwange, lwa bwetaavu w'eggwanga,
kubanga be basinga obungi.
Absolutely.
Naye bw'otunuulira gavumenti ya Uganda emanyi nnyo okukola kye twandiyise policies ennungi eri abavubuka. Ogenda n'owulira youth livelihood, n'owulira nyingi through Ministry of Gender n'ebirala. Naye embeera y'abavubuka okuba nti bali vulnerable, tebalina mirimu, tebalina byakola mbi, ate bwekituuse mu kya coronavirus ne bongerera ddala okubeera most vulnerable, nga bw'olabye nti most of them engage in hand to mouth jobs.
Of course.
Akola chapati
for lack of better options.
Omulala avuga boda, omulala atunda chips ku kkubo, omulala atunda mwakeedi, akola ku byabuviiri. Gwe nga gwe olina biki? If we are looking at the package in your docket for the abavubuka okusobola okuba nti owangula emitima gyabwe. What do you have for abavubuka?
I could do a simple comparison. If you didn't use your great command of voice, your oratory power, your power of expression, to come and help communicate to us, would have lost you. So policies in their own is a good start, but it's not necessarily a good end. So what I'm saying, you can go in these chambers. For example, me and my group, we are writing manifesto. Yes, but the greater thing is how do you want to turn around these policies and have them implemented to benefit the person you are targeting. Now this Munya-Uganda, they are composed of two groups. Waliwo abasoma n'abatasoma. Now naye okukanika boda tewetaga kubanga no, to really there is what they call apprenticeship. You can do work by working on it. Apprenticeship, you learn by being part of the
job.
Yes. Now, some of my simple ideas. Imagine we have all the land seated beyond Jinja. We have all the land seated. If we, for example, modified our laws, because you have a factor of tonotono, because India lives on them, they don't have huge factories. But if we modified our laws and put in leases for 5 months, even 1 year, then no man who knew something about the border, which is just that engine. The same engine is the one which empowers a machine that does half an acre of cultivation in a day. Using the hand. They are not really that sophisticated. And then we also encouraged him to grow. Oyatagala factory. We encourage you to grow some special, like these rare minerals, some plants, some products which acquire high money. For example, the avocado. It's now called the gold. I'm told some of our avocados are being exported by Kenya. I think because sometimes we don't know what value that is in them.
Batulimisa ebintu bingi, batulimisa obusaanyi, batulimisiza emwanyi, batulimisiza vanilla. When you come to produce, the prices fall.
Yes, this is common elsewhere. But it hasn't stopped other countries from earning from some of these things. But the point I'm making, direct this use, let the policies direct this use towards where he makes maximum benefit for his age and for his level of education and for his needs. For example, you hear that there is what they call youth livelihood fund. Very good idea. The policy is very perfect. So genda kulaininga, some even mistake it for a token. But I've been saying simple things. We have a bank here, watch money, Bajita Post Bank.
Yeah.
Ndozo manyi waliwo post office. Yaina terminals everywhere in Uganda.
Yes.
At least for the larger number of towns, which you now call cities. I'm told you are very excited that you got a city in Jinja. Alhamdulillah.
Of course.
I don't want to tamper with your excitement.
We are still celebrating.
With time I would want to ask what benefit it is, but it's a policy. Now come back to this. Why don't we channel this money where these young people access it easier, and rather train them to present good proposals? Because narokumaraga kuwa sent, what purpose is it? There's no purpose. So my own view is channel them and also bring down the cost of money in general terms. Because ogenze ku, narabye Mr. Mutebere, a very distinguished Ugandan, saying, Vanang, if you don't reduce our cap, Kenya
telling
capped.
the banks.
Kenya capped. But this goes to the cost of money. Europe developed ahead of Japan, ahead of China, because they understood the importance of credit. Credit. Kyova olaba in our own now, apart from the ATM, you also had a credit card. You have something called a credit card. Yes, a credit card omugaso gwayo is to access you to credit. Yes, affordable credit. If it is affordable credit, then you can borrow. Naye buli omu bw'ateekwa kujja ssente mu nsawo ye alyoka agire kyakola, especially ng'oli muto and you have nothing to put in as interest. So there are two important policy issues here. One, why should you direct money ewakawo, which becomes an administrative task?
Ye muntu omwangu president gwajja okubuuza.
Yes, but you see, it's easier to ask banks. Gwali olabyeko banka nga yeetaaga minister to run it? No, they're just being supervised by the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Uganda. Those are government institutions. But I don't think you run Stanbic. Not really. No. So why do you go for the more complicated processes when they are simpler processes and processes which have been established over time? Why are we inventing the wheel? And you know how much money is involved? Wealth creation, 100 million. The youth livelihood fund, women fund, 100 million. That's 300 million. I hope you know 100 million buys Kororo if you want every year. So I want you to attach the value and put in a few calculations. So the whole issue is direct policy to ease access, for example, to credit. Then let this credit ease and turn around, the processes of creating wealth.
But we can come to say regional and global politics.
Yes.
Omukulembeze omutuufu oba tuga nti tekimala kubeera nga olina byetwandiyise ebisaanyizo okubeera omukulembeze. We also need to look at enkolagana yo n'abantu abatulinaanye nga bono gamba nti East African countries, the Great Lakes region, Africa as a country, and then maybe we look at the world leaders. What qualities do you possess okusobola okuba nti osobola okuteekawo enkolagana ennungi wakati wa Uganda n'ensi endala, okusobola okuba nti politics wa Uganda bannauganda bamufunamu nga ofunye obukulembeze?
Maybe let's use the East African countries. Who would underscore me?
In the East African community?
Yes, who would? Nansanga
I don't know.
Nga bw'oyogedde nange ne bw'owulira n'ebyenkugambye byonna n'erinnya lyange njagala kubuuza nga ndi president wa Uganda, Salva Kiir Anjoga, what would be the problem? Why are you worried?
They can all respect you.
Absolutely. If for no reason, but just competence, exposure. Yes. By the way, I did diplomacy for so many years. I was a diplomat in UK. I'm now telling you for 7 years. So really, if that is what the crops you are trying to pull out, why not? But there is also that I understand the issues of my country. Once you've got the competence to solve the issues of your country, you attract special respect without pleading and battling for it. Yes. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't see anybody who would meet me. Is it because I can't express myself? Is it because I've not done enough in my life? Why would anyone? But also, I'm quite linked to a lot of, for example, I told you I worked in the UK. I have used 11 passports in my life.
11 passports?
Yes, and with time.
Different countries?
Oh, different countries. Actually, I've traveled like 3/4 of the African countries.
Oh.
So the main
so you're connected.
Connected.
In other words, only connected.
And to use the language of .com, I'm linked in.
You're linked in.
Yes. So really, I don't think that should worry any Ugandan. If it is to worry any Ugandan, it should worry you about the other leaders who are offering themselves. Certainly not me.
And
I don't want to go into details.
It's okay.
Yeah, leave it to me.
Budget ya Uganda is 40 trillion.
Yes.
Bwoba tunudde ku ngeri government gyesaasaanyamu ssente zino zituulira nga batusomera mu budget, simanyi gwe bwobanga okulembedde Uganda nga bakuwadde mandate, ensimbi zino ogenda kuzisaasaanya otya okusobola okugasa bannayuganda?
Nja kuzisaasaanya according to need. Nja kweyazika byeneetaaga. You know, some interesting things are coming up. We used to raise issues. Wanange sente zino zemweyazika zino muzeetaaga. Because you'd be in cabinet, some would come, motion to borrow money, I don't know, from this place. Now, recently, ndoza COVID there's a lot of awakening. So kulaba abantu nga bagamba Ministry of Finance is getting firm on money that is being borrowed that is not being used. Money that is being budgeted that is not being used. Or resource after a long while. You know, Uganda used to survive on a lot of support from foreigners. 70% of our economy for a long time was run by foreign. Then we had a developing economy, it caught up, and credit is given to the current government. When it caught up, we lived in that comfort. But COVID now has come, and everyone is waking themselves up saying, hey, banange, ekintu nga si kya bulijjo. Kumbe waliwo esente zituula wano tebazikozesa. Imagine abamu ne budget bazizaayo. Especially mpulira kasita budget eyo ebeeni mu kakoona abantu ke balaba nti tebajja kufunafunako.
Nga balagaana okuzi.
Ako tebakwata yeyo. Nga ziddayo. So, the budget, first of all, should target our priorities. I would target the youth. I would target creating wealth for this country. And I would borrow money only if I need it and I'm ready to spend it. And then I would borrow if I must borrow. And by the way, there is also another factor, Junior. That's what most people seem to call you.
Yeah.
Yes, there is also that when you borrow this money, what is the cost of this money? Yes. Ugamba ebbeeyi y'esente, it doesn't sound very well in Uganda, but there is also what they call the cost of money. How much do you pay for the money you have borrowed? Why wouldn't you source for other monies, for example, that are cheaper? For example, Kenya has started, and when I mention Kenya, I really don't want to say they are magicians in this, but you know they are now the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, and the sixth in Africa, having overtaken Angola recently. They borrow money, mobilize money from internal bonds from their own country by offering good benefits on internal bonds. So they also mobilize money from their own internal self. I would spend money on that. Make sure we create circumstances where you can borrow money from your own internal sources. Because this money is me and you. If they are telling me to use my tractors because I'm a farmer, produce some benefits. But if they also tell me that if you buy government bonds or any other type of bonds, you'd make money easier, what would you rather do? I would rather do that. There are also some factors. For example, saving on transportation. Yes, for example, the British, when they came here, the first thing they did was to, tell us that we need a railway. And they built a railway regardless. Because they knew, they were sensitive about the cost of transport.
Mobility.
I'm sure you can see now how we need to do so much on the border. There is also another line in the water. Bring down the cost of transport. But there is also other alternatives. For example, we've been having issues with Kenya about the rail line. They brought it up to a point and they think they can't bring it up to the Ugandan border. So we can't benefit from them. Now my main question, is it the only route? For example, there is a route through Karamoja to Addis Ababa. When Ethiopia got problems with Eritrea, they built a rail line from Addis Ababa to Djibouti. Now, if we cannot negotiate our terms very well with Kenya, maybe the other way is put on table an alternative of another because if you are going to Djibouti, you have to pass through Mombasa, then go to Somalia. Then I can say, gentlemen, on the negotiation table, if you are not willing to connect Naivasha with the Ugandan border, then
just take another route.
Then we take another route. Because you know also how you negotiate. You must also negotiate from a point of strength. Have you seen the dam Ethiopia is building? Which is causing them a lot of problems between them and Sudan. And yes, but you see, they keep saying, we need cheap energy. Okay, you need water, but we also need cheap energy. So when all these bargains are going on, even with threats of war, the next question is, do we need cheaper transport or not? If we do, if you don't offer an easy alternative, I am entitled to seek another alternative. Me, I would place it on the table to get a good bargain for the Republic of Uganda.
Ngenda kufanga nfunayo abakubi b'amasimu nga basatu babana. I'll limit the callers because time is not on my side. Tuli ku Baba TV, tuli ne General Henry Tumukunde ayagala kwa president. Bwe munamu obwa president ebyo byonna byayogedde ne byatanaba kwogera kubanga tukyamukomyawo ayongera okubanyonnyola ebirala bingi nnyo mujja kubanga musobola okubanga mubitegeera. Tugenda kufuna esimu ntono nnyo naye General waliwo kale kangende nono. Munafe. Hello. Seba amanya go nejo sinzidde.
Sinzidde Jinja.
Amanya go sebo.
Kakayire muto okuva Jinja bwekula.
Kakayire gena maso.
Okuva Jinja.
Yes, Mr. Kakayire.
Mbuzaako mukulu oyo.
Yes, sebo.
Ebbanga lino lyavuddeyo okujja okuyamba bannayuganda agenda kutandikira kusooka kwegatta na banne oba yalina nsonga ze ng'omuntu.
Okay. Tweyanza. Ekibuuzo tubuuze kimu tusobola okuba nga tufuna abannaffe abawerako. Then n'ekirala bw'oba nga okuba essimu gezaako okulaba nga oviira Baba TV. Hello. Amannya ne gy'osinzidde ssebo?
Sinzidde Jinja, nze Kayima Muhammad.
Yes, Muhammad.
Nze ku side eyange weebaza mukulu Tumukunde oyo. Okusigala nti ajja okutangaaza eggwanga biki ebiri mu ggwanga.
Tweyanza nnyo ssebo, tweyanzeeke.
Era agende mu maaso okuzibula abantu amaaso n'okumanya ki ekiri mu kwegamba mu ggwanga tusobole okwenunula.
Tweyanza ssebo, tweyanzeeke. Baba TV, hello. Sebo.
Hello.
Amanya ne gy'osinzidde ssebo? Munaffe.
Hello.
Amanya go ne gy'osinzidde?
Ono Kayima Jamile kusinzira Jinja.
Kayima
Jamile, yes.
Gena maaso.
Kakati mwebale kutuweereza bannaye.
Weebale kulaba.
So kati nze mbadde nebaza nnyo mukulu Tumukunde okujja kubanga be bamu abaali mu nsiko ne balwanirira eggwanga
naye mbadde nsaba ekintu kimu nti singa yegatta ku banne kyalibadde kikola amakulu singa bwanaabeera omu kubanga tumanyi bulungi gavumenti yaffe obeera nga muli bantu bangi temusobola kulwanyisa gavumenti mumalako.
Tweyanza nnyo tweyanzege kanfuneyo omulala omu yekka. Halo.
Halo.
Oli ku Baba TV amanya ne gy'osinzidde ssebo.
Amanya gange zibali kano omufuzi wa Lusamaguzi ssebo.
Yes ssebo.
Zanne bazze Jeno Tumukunde embeera gy'ataddemu bannayuganda n'okuvaayo kubanga yali mu gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni naye nalaga nti azze kulwanirira ggwanga Jeno mulamusizza nnyo naye nsaba Jeno nti eggwanga waalisaaza abantu bamukkiririzaamu eggwanga lisanze lyonoonese tumusaba nti tugenda kuba wamu naye era tumusaba taddiriza muliro ffe bannayuganda twasazeewo Jeno Tumukunde gwosobola Mwami Museveni jangu oyambe eggwanga oliraba naawe ligenze tugenda kubeerawo nnyo ku lulwo era bannayuganda basazeewo nti nno Jeno ojja kusobola jangu eggwanga lifudde ojjo tununula nze balikanda akusiibudde Jeno afaase
sitegedde gyavudde kanfuneyo omweka
kuweereza bannange
mwebale kutulaba ssebo.
Nze Segirinya John Baptist ng'ate eri mobilizer wa Jeno Tumukunde eno erubaga.
Oli mu Kampala?
Ndi mu Kampala nze mobilizer we.
Genda mu maaso ssebo.
Omukulu oyo nze okuva lwe yavaayo natandika omulabamu omulamwa kubanga ekisookera ddala aludde n'omusajja era yamutegeera. So bwe tuba twogera ku bantu abasobola okuleeta enkyukakyuka mu ggwanga lino liba lyetaagira ddala omuntu abaddeyo nga ye ng'ate amubaddeko ng'alaba polisi bwe zitambula ng'alaba sisitemu bwetambula era nze bwe nayogera naye nendabira ddala nga ye muntu alimu omulamwa ogw'okukyusa eggwanga era nze nsuubira bangi bandimwegasseeko nga nze bwe namwegattako netusobola okukyusa eggwanga lino mwebale kuweereza.
Tweyanza nnyo tweyanze Jeno nandibadde nkwata amasimu mangi naye olwakadde bampadde yemu yokka. Baba TV halo. Amanya ne gy'osinzidde ssebo.
Muwanika from Uganda.
Yes ssebo.
Kati ze kyembuuza.
Yes ssebo.
Njagala ombuulize mukulu Tumukunde.
Mwebuulize.
Nti lwaleero zonna Tumukunde bo bamanyi nga Kampala ye tawuni yonka eriwo mu nsi muno tebamanyi nti Iganga nazo nsi ziriyo disitulikiti ziriyo.
Nsonyiwe ssebo njakiddamu bulungi.
Tweyanzege mukkirize tugende mu bibuuzo bino byebabuuziza amale okubanga abiddamu mpozi ogenda gattako kano. In 2001 twafuna Dr. Kizza Besigye ng'ajja okuvuganya President Museveni ku ranka ya kano okuva ku olwo teyakyukako. Mu 2016 ne tufuna Jeno Biraro, may he rest in peace. Twafuna ne Sejjusa wadde nga tanaba ku retiringa naye nga yali resistant era nga ayagala nnyo okwegaba okuvuganya. Now we see you. What is wrong with the Genos? Ndoza kikana sembayo.
Thank you very much. Anyway, Mwami Kakaire, first of all, webale kututuusa kw'ebirowoozo byo, tusiima Baba TV ntusobola kuwulira ebikukwatako. Nze sina personal problem. Kakibe emirimu omuntu gy'akola mu nsi n'agikoze nazaara. I finished my great obligations. But you see, kasita ozaala abaana n'ogira n'abato nga junior going to dinner naye wano. The bigger problem is not about yourself. It's about what you leave behind you.
The legacy.
The legacy and the consistency of circumstances that are favorable to growth and development. So there's nothing personal. And if it was personal, I don't think I would waste a lot of time. Because why go through these hassles manyugenze ruzira nalabye kirose mu Uganda bamunga bamuyo kigali cha pick up, which is also obnoxious. Really, why don't we respect our leaders? If Semu Uganda became a president tomorrow, how is he supposed to deal with people who put him on kabakada kabangali ka pick up? And in any case, what kind of reflections are we trying? Yes, but you see, when shall we be called the mitara of democracy? Really? Why? He's wrong. Why not treat him very well? Why don't you pass a message that actually, if you deserve respect, then you should give respect to others? But let me go to the questions of my callers. Kaima Muhammad, Gena Mas. Unawade muwagizi mwami Kaima Muhammad nkutumako nnyo nange genda mu maaso tolinda muntu yenna kutuma wetume. Our cause is ours. It's not anybody's. Go and change things. Suranga okola katolina gutunule mabega nti akulaba. It's your mission. This is our country. Now when it comes to Kaima Jamil join opposition, great idea. Okuvarwe na varuzira. I've been holding meetings. Banange, why don't we work together? Buli omu gwe kikwatako tajja kugamba nti saamulaba. I care to meet them. Bannayuganda waliwo, waliwo akatafiirayo ddala ku bannayuganda. When all of us refuse, they choose the one they think is most competent. Nga bw'olabye mukwano gwange bali kanda ng'agamba oyo yasobola. But I would still advise if we would come together, and I've been saying it all the time, because we'll go to Kakagamba.
It worked in Malawi.
Njagala kukola nawe.
Kenya.
Exactly.
Njagala. Many.
Thank you very much. Njagala kukola nawe nganze ndi ku ballot paper. What a way to start a negotiation.
Oh, that is
yes. In short, go to Mukundi, ujja kubiyo mabega wange. Why don't you start by saying, let's try to work together? But in any case, anyway, what I can tell you is that we wish we could work together. And I had the front line last night, the mouths, everyone is talking about the importance of working together. I wish they put it in practice. At least me, I offer myself in this whole bargain without saying I have to be on the ballot paper. It's a difference between me and others. I don't know what others say about it. Mwami Walikanda is a supporter. I thank him very much. Him ne mukama we Mwami Rutamaguzi. They are doing quite a lot of publicity about what Uganda needs and what Uganda must do. In fact, mbasimanyo Mwami Segirinya umunarubaga umanyi.
That is your mobilizer.
Oh yes, and for he's just out there. Umuna Uganda yetu me. And I'm very, very impressed by such people myself. I've never heard him call me a funding facilitation or what. Not really. He's a self-driven machine. Njagala kumutuma konga omuwanika wa Iganga. He has a good point. Eyo Kampala je mwesibide naye tamanyi ebirala COVID yetusibye actually. And the rules of running this whole machine. Yes. Titumanyi electoral commission pronounces themselves encha olulala nekyusa.
Tulina dakika bbiri.
Kati nawulidde hybrid. So tulinze kumanya oba omanyi scientific ekyatutawaanya. Kati baleesemu digital. Kati baleesemu hybrid. And you know these are very sophisticated words. Yes, confusing the confused. Even me, if I can't conceive them properly, so I don't know how many people conceive. But my last statement should go to Ugandans. And starting with you, Junior, and others, the time has come that we must carry the burden and responsibility of changing our own country where we want it, taking it where we want it. It should no longer be the obligation of Tanzanians. It should no longer be the obligation of, Banabulемezi, who I praise immensely whenever I have an opportunity. It should be now of all of us, especially you the educated, who called for a wedding meeting. You are a very active person in the Akachiko Ka decoration. When it comes to your own country's interests, you think you are too comfortable. Omuyangambye nti nkatira wali bakola semuju bagala nange babinkole. Yes, in the crusade for the interests of your country, I wouldn't mind going to Luzira. For me, I don't see that as the big problem. The big problem is that I am a critical player. It is my country. It's not any other person's country. Mine. I owe it to my country to do everything doable to make sure those who think that it is not your business, those of you who are living comfortably in the diaspora, I invite you for once to find reason to crusade and take Uganda where you want it. And I want to use this opportunity honestly to thank Baba TV, the management, Chabazinga wa Uganda, wa Busoga, sorry, that must be a big mistake, wa Busoga, no Busoga Bulaire. Ne katikire wabo mukwano gwange, in fact omukuba wagizi bange muntu mukuru wa Chabazinga kandoze ntajja kumugana. But what I'm saying, mwebale nnyo to get Uganda to be able, Ugandans to be able to be communicated to. And you take it rightly, but you have a privilege above everybody else that you speak to Ugandans every day. The plumber, the border man, the man in Chikubu who I'm seeing struggling against all odds, even struggling against their health. It is now time that we invite ourselves to the great cause, the crusade of making sure that our country is taken the direction we all believe in. For a Uganda that works for all of us, for a renewed Uganda, for a new circumstances, new opportunities, new priorities. And I thank you very much, Sewo Junior, for being very kind to me. And whenever, please, you have an opportunity, invite me to Baba TV. I thank you so much. I thank the technical.
All our viewers, our technicians, our cameramen, abali mu control. Njagala kubebaza mwebale abakubi amasimu mpozi namwe mwenna abasobodde okubanga amaaso mugatadde ku lutimbe olwa Baba TV. Njagala tubasibulire wano ate tunaba tukwatagana olunaku olw'enkya ku Busoga FM wajja kubeerayo Robert Kyagulanyi Honorable nga naye ababulira ensonga ez'enjawulo n'olw'ensonga eyo ku Baba FM ajja kubanga abera mumuulirize naye muwulire byateekwa balina okubanga abagamba. Njagala kubasibulira wano Obusoga Bulaire Kyabazinga afunvue.
Enoni Baba TV, Obusoga Bulaire.
Fellow Ugandans, I would like to thank you for being patient during the lockdown days as